Hello everyone, this is Bentley, and if you'll recall, I'm sitting in front of my wild-caught Rubrostriata tank, which is a pretty standard 29-gallon Aquarium tank. And on this tank, we have the JC&P 20-inch controllable light. And we did 24/7 testing on this, and also, in the last video I mentioned that JC&P had reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, you have the wrong size light for that tank. Can we send you the right one so that you can see the difference? Well, if you're astute, you can kind of see in the background, it's here and it's on the tank. So let's compare the differences and talk about some of my extra testing that I've done so far before we dig into truly the final review on my thoughts on this light, especially now that we've got the right size one on the tank. So the important thing to note, and you'll see it just barely here, but I want to talk before we look directly at the tank. You'll notice I've put some extra plants down here, and I've got a bunch of Anubias floating. Now this Anubias was a gift from a friend of mine. He had tore down a freshwater tank at his work that he was maintaining. For those that remember my interview with Darren of Rogue Aquariums, is a massive, amazing saltwater tank, which pretty soon we're going to go see that thing again once this human malware is done and I can actually leave and go see people. But he gave me a ton of Anubias. That's been floating in here for a while, doing pretty good. But you'll also notice down there, kind of right where my hand is here, there's some new plants that are in this tank. And let me explain what they are and why this matters for my testing. Now this is a broadleaf water sprite. It's just a variant of the normal water sprite that you get. It comes out of India. Really nice little plant. But I normally grow this floating. I use it kind of as a natural spawning mob sometimes in one of my rainbow fish tanks. For our purposes, what this matters is, now that these plants are no longer floating, and a lot of that foliage is underwater, fully submerged, it has to convert. This would be a lot like buying a potted plant. It's slightly different because it's floating and there's a little more humidity in the layer between the lid and the top of the water than a normal potted plant you're going to buy from a farm, but it lets us see how well this light can help convert a plant. And this was all done with a smaller light, the 20-inch JC&P, before the 28 came in. So let's take a look at those plants, take a look at the difference in the lights, and then again, we'll go back to the original test that we used, which was that Phoenix planted light, and we'll compare that to the new 28-inch JC&P that showed up, just to give a more accurate comparison of how much light we're getting out of this very budget-friendly LED. Alright, so here we are looking at the tank with the 20-inch light on. So the original light that was sent to me, this is the one that's too small for the tank, on its maximum light setting. So just keep in mind, look at the fish, look how much light's coming off of the Anubias. You see the wonder shell in there for kind of a bright white thing to look at. If you look really carefully, you might see some of the plecos zipping around, but you see the rainbow fish just to see some other color. Just note kind of how bright this is at its maximum power setting. Puts off pretty good light, but it's not as bright as that Phoenix as we can recall. So let's take a look at the 28-inch light, the properly sized light, and look at the difference. Now here we are looking at the 28-inch light, and I've moved the light's position to mimic the exact same position that the 20-inch was in, just so that we get a relatively accurate comparison here. I think you can see right away, it's a decent amount brighter, but not like some insane difference. And what this is really highlighting is the far edges of the tank, and a little bit with the very Anubias up top is getting a little bit more light just because we have a bigger light spanning the tank, producing more overall light for the whole tank. You can see the rainbows dodge the other side, but I think it's a little easier to see some of the reds in the Rubrostriata striping, a little bit of the yellow in the fin, just some of that highlighting color is coming in a little bit better because we have a little bit more light. Now what we're going to do is put the Phoenix back on here, compare the Phoenix just so that we have that original control of what the Phoenix looks like, and then we'll go back to my face and we'll show you kind of all three lights side by side in comparison. Alright, finally here we are with the Phoenix back on, again in roughly the same position as the 28 and 28-inch JC&Ps were set, just to give us our comparison of a quite a bit more expensive light, but this is a older light too. So, there you have some comparisons as far as modern technology giving us a little bit more oomph when it comes to the slightly more expensive lighting. But just to compare to a significantly less expensive light in the JC&P, we're still getting really great output out of this budget light. Is it as much as the Phoenix? No, of course not. But I think for the cost, we're getting a really good value. And you can look at the plants, you can see the two different leaf shapes that are coming in, so you can see where the conversion's happening, see where some of that, some of the plant matter is melting off because we're not using CO2 in this tank, and they were at surface level getting atmospheric CO2. But you can see the plants are coming in, they're starting to look healthy, good, nice, bright, vibrant green, and we could see that regardless of what light was on there. And keep in mind that all this conversion that these plants are going through was done under the 20-inch, so the undersized light, which means that as we put the more powerful JC&P on here, we're going to see even better results because we're going to give these plants just a little bit more light. And sometimes that little bit matters a whole ton. Let's go back to my face. We'll compare the three in some extra footage and just get an idea of exactly how powerful each of these lights are in comparison to each other. All right, so we've looked at those directly on the tank. Let's put them up here and really compare them so that we get a better understanding looking all of those lights at once. Now, of course, the Phoenix is a little bit brighter. The 20-inch JC&P versus the 28-inch JC&P is really what we need to pay attention to. So let's first do the two JC&P lights, and then we'll compare the 28-inch JC&P to the Phoenix, because I think that's the fairest comparison. Notice, the JC&P 20-inch to 28-inch, what we're really getting is some extra brightness toward the edges, and because of some of the placement of the plants, that does make the colors pop a little bit more. The fish have a little bit more color because they're kind of hiding side to side. They're still a little shy. But overall, we're getting just a little bit more light, and that little bit, I think overall, is a really nice difference in our max light setting. So now let's more accurately compare the 28-inch JC&P to the Phoenix light. Of course, the Phoenix is a much more expensive light in the grand scheme of things compared to the JC&P light. And the Phoenix only has one power setting. It's just on and off. You either have full power or no power. Whereas the JC&P allows us to control something. So if we were, say, starting a tank from the beginning, we could dim that light down a little bit and make it a little easier to prevent algae at first while that tank settles in, matures. In the case of some of our plants, if they're converting, those plants start their conversion process, get to that submerged growth, and then as they're doing better and getting some real good new growth, we can start pumping that light up. Or we can put it in a full 24/7 mode. It has a controlled thing. I've ran it in rated about 24/7, but it's a controllable mode to where you just get to set it, forget it, let it do its thing. It goes through an entire cycle. A lot of people really value that. I do too, just in a different fashion. So there you go. There's your comparison of the JC&P lights. Now that we have the 28-inch here on the tank, we've compared it to the Phoenix and the previous 20-inch. The 20-inch did some really great work for this tank, I'm going to be honest, but I'm really looking forward to the 28-inch. So to finish the testing on this light and to give a full review, what we're going to do is add a few more plants to this and see how they handle this new light and how well they settle into this tank. Now keep in mind, this is a low-tech tank, which means no CO2. We have a reasonably good light on here. I would say we're looking at medium, even into the very tinges of highlight if you're getting like dead center toward the top. But realistically, this is a medium light tank. And it's being done on a budget. This is a budget light. We're not doing any crazy CO2, or we're not even going to dose liquid carbon. It is just going to be a simple all-in-one liquid fertilizer, easy green. So what we'll do is go ahead, set this up. I'll get some plants in this thing, which you're going to see in another video here shortly. And then we're going to give it a little bit and just watch those plants, see how they do, see if there are any struggles with those plants. And if there are problems with those plants, I'll be moving the plants and we'll account that accordingly. But I don't think we're going to have issues. All these plants are pretty easy. They really just need light, and most of them are already converted, so it's going to be really simple. With that being said, what I'd really like to hear below, now that you've seen the 28-inch light compared to the 20-inch, so you've got the proper size light for this tank, What are your thoughts? Do you think that difference really makes it? And now seeing the correct size light is definitely makes this light like much more appealing to you. The controlling with the remote, does that interest you? I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Please let me know if you've enjoyed this video. Just gently caress that little like button. Give it that little thumbs up. That really helps with the magic YouTube algorithms. And if you really do enjoy budget lighting, and maybe you got a friend who's looking at starting a tank and they're interested in trying to figure out what light do I put on my tank, maybe even share this video, because honestly, I'm getting pretty impressed with these JC&P lights. They're not bad for a budget light. They're great quality as far as build. Nice aluminum casing, has a remote. You sacrifice a few things because it's a budget light, but you know what? For what you're getting, they're a pretty good deal. If you don't like this video, if you don't like me talking about lights, or maybe you think that I was paid, which I was not, JC&P provided the light, but all they've said is, hey, we just want you to get an accurate review with the right size light on your tank. Can we send you the right sized one? Yeah, of course. And then they just said, great, we look forward to hearing what you have to say. Pretty nice that they're that upfront and honest, where it's just a, hey, we just want to know what you think. Pretty cool. I really like the JC&P folks. What my interactions have been. They've been super nice, super wonderful people. I got a cat down here. He's up to make some mischief. I'm just hoping he's not going to make noise. I really enjoy the JC&P folks. So, again, if you think I'm shelling this thing, you can go ahead and hit that thumbs down twice. I'll understand. For those of you who maybe this is your first time seeing any of my content, consider hitting the subscribe button. Maybe even ringing that notification bell. That way you don't miss anything like this, whether it's a series, like our recent series about Fertilizer 101, teaching everything you need to know about aquarium fertilizer, or it's one-off product reviews, teaching about maybe rainbow fish, guppies, all sorts of things that I love teaching, especially if it has to do with planet tanks. I love me some plants. Maybe consider that. And if you really, really enjoy this stuff, even though I know human malware makes this rough, I mean, look at my hair, it's going crazy. Consider becoming a member. Tap that join button down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome. The cat is down there just staring at a brown bag that he's seen hundreds of times. I think he just likes being close. Anyway, this is that part at the end of the video where after we've messed with the light, we talk about awesome members and Patreon folks who really support this channel a lot. They are at the rainbow fish level, and that would be Carrie Pitt, Ginger Graves, and the enigmatic Cody. We only know Cody, that's it. We don't know anything else. But we know that part. No, but seriously, to all the members, again, thank you so much, especially with everything that is going on with human malware. In my case, in our state, I can't even go get a freaking haircut. It's like, if you look, I had to like slick my hair back, but I got like wings coming off the side of my head. It looks terrible. It's such a, like when I dry my hair after a shower in the morning, it's all puffed out. It looks like some discount Doc Brown thing going on. It's bad, man. It's so bad. Anyway, this is also the part where I ramble like a crazy person, but I just really want to thank every one of you, whether you're a member or on Patreon. Your generosity is incredible, and the fact that you guys support me even in this hard time, it's a true blessing and an honor. So thank you so much. It's incredibly humbling that you do that with your hard-earned bucks, and you don't need to. You know, honestly, the best thing for channel growth is actually just like liking, sharing, and commenting. But so for those of you who for some reason you're still watching this and maybe you're not subscribed, or you are subscribed, you don't have to pay for anything. It's optional. The member content is like some small bonus stuff. There's a new member video coming very, very soon. I have to finish editing it, but it's soon. And I really appreciate you folks. Again, there's the Discord, which is open for a limited time to all members, regardless of what level you're on. I put out posts in the appropriate places, so you can go track those down, get the Discord link, and come join me. The folks who are already there already know it's a really easy way to get fast access answers out of this dolt and a few other really awesome people. Again, Thank you so much for watching and giving your support. And as always, stay awesome. Hey.